How you doing, folks? Well, I tried in vain to get the gib key out of the flywheel, and it is just not coming off. So, unfortunately, I'm going to have to leave the flywheel together. I mean, I know there's options about drilling out the gib key, and I'm not going down that route, to be honest with you. The bearings seem all right and that, but what I did try to get it out was I tried a drift. This lad here. It's actually used for removing a taper in a mill or lathe, so it just wasn't going to remove that though. I mean, I really went to town on it. I tried heating it, I tried soaking it with all sorts of manners of chemicals, and it stuck fast. So yeah, I mean, there it's going to stay. So anyway, look at. I know the bearings are alright and that. I'll try and clean it up as best I can in situ. Not ideal. I mean, I would have liked to have stripped the crankshaft and cleaned the bearings and inspected them properly, but you know, I mean, that's the blow we've been dealt. So anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a quick tidy up at the workshop, and I'm going to continue on with assembling the governor. So that will be something different. Okay, so we have the governor here first of all. Basically, the way this works is you've got a pair of weights inside, and as the engine spins faster, these weights move out, okay, and they push on a little, they pull up a small lever at the bottom, and that lever acts on this rod which is in the lid and pushes the rod out, which operates a mechanism which goes up to the carburetor and closes off the butterfly in the carburetor, which slows the engine down. So the opposite happens, of course, if the engine's spinning slower. So the springs here actually dictate the speed the engine turns at. Those springs are set for 700 RPM. So the engine will turn at 700 RPM. Any faster and the throttle butterfly closes off and the engine slows down. So simple as that. Kind of a similar mechanism used in car distributors, the flyweights. Now we have a new gasket for this, so it's nice to be able to reassemble things now. So let's take a gasket set and start putting things back together. Sounds of crying children in the background have got absolutely nothing to do with me, I can assure you. There's just a neighbourhood child crying outside. This is a suburban housing estate. I'm not in the middle of the country here or anything, so you know that's kind of why there's always noise outside. And it's just the way it is. So I'm turning around here so you can see what I'm doing. So there's the gasket in place. Oh no, that doesn't seem like the right one, but I have another one that fits. Maybe I do. Let's have another look. There's our gasket set here. So. I can't think of any other uses for that particular gasket that I took out anyway, so it has to be that one. It just doesn't fit very well, which I'm not overly impressed by, but maybe there's different types of governor mechanism that I'm not aware of. First of all, anyway, we'll press on. It'll be all right. We'll make it work. What I'm going to do first of all is I'm going to just put a little bit of oil on the shaft here. So a little squirt of oil there, and we'll lubricate everything inside here as well too. So a little bit down there. It's just normal engine oil in this oil can. 15W40 actually, I think is what it is. Anyway, the pivot points down the bottom as well too. There is an oiling hole in the lid, but you know, we don't need to necessarily use that. So, or we will need to use it, but not right now. Right, so let's see now. What I need to do is I need to find out that the oiler goes to the top, okay? So this is the top. So we have the rod comes from here, goes across here, and then over to the linkage. So this has to be the top. So it goes this way. a little podger and we'll line up that gasket. Ill-fitting and all as it might be, it's the only one we have, so that's what we're using. It'll work. And those eagle-eyed viewers have probably already noticed what Ross has done wrong. Got to put that in. I have it now anyway. Now, okay, so next we need the 3 nuts, or sorry, the 3 bolts even to hold that together. So 1, 2, 3. I find it interesting actually on this engine that there's very few washers used anywhere. So these were no exception. Not much copper grease there. I did have another little pot of copper grease. Anyway, for the purposes of this exercise, normal engine oil will do fine just to lubricate. Oh look, there it is there. We found it. Perfect. Okay, so lubricate the threads, just a little dab will do. Put that lad in there. Be careful, of course, not to cross thread anything. And this lad here. Now, there we go. Right. I only have a very light grip of the flange at the bottom on the vice grips, so you know, if it makes any mark at all, it'll be very small, so I'm not really going to be too worried about that. I'll get a suitable size socket. I think we were going to go to that's going to be a lot. That's not going to be 12. It's going to be more like a 14. Yeah, 14 does the trick. So I'm not going to really bother torquing this. All we're going to do is just give it 2 white knuckles. Just basically, so long as everything is pulled down evenly, that's kind of the main thing here. That's her. And it's the governor together. Okay. You might see when I watch the rod. That's because the weights are flying out, so they're working. Now, what we'll do is you'll see there's an oiling hole here. It's supposed to be a little oiler that goes in there actually. It was broken off. There was a piece of brass stuck in there, so I drilled it out. Off camera, you don't need to see me drilling things out. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory and kind of boring. But I will get another one of them at some stage. Anyway, there's another oiling point there. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put oil in there. All right, let it run down around there. Give that a little turn. Work the oil in around the shaft. Already feels like it's turning nicer actually. A couple of squirts of oil down there. I know we did already oil things up, but 3 squirts down there, which is lovely. Okay, happy days. Right, so that's that done. So we can put that aside for the moment, and we can move on to our next piece. Now, this is our next piece here, okay? What we need to do first of all is we need to turn you around so you can see what I'm doing. There you go. We need to take all the masking tape off. We need to clean the flanges and sealing surfaces, take any excess paint off and give them a little polish. I have a little sanding block there just to kind of clean them all up, get a good seal, and there's a castellated nut with a split pin that needs to go in there as well too. So we'll put that back in place as well too. So at this point I will pause, and when I have all the surfaces cleaned up, we will reconvene. Okay, so I think everything is sufficiently clean now, and I've kind of sorted through a couple of the nuts and bolts. Of course I forgot to do this flange, but I'll do that before I reinstall everything. I did everything this side, so that's something anyway. So this lad here can be tightened up first of all. There's a spring washer on that, so that's what keeps that in place. Any little places where you see the red paint, like the primer showing through, what I'm going to do is, when I'm finished, I'll go around with a little artist brush and touch all that up, and it'll look grand then again. But a lot of the places, actually, when you see them laid out here, it's really obvious, but when you actually see them fitted to the engine, you can barely see it. So yeah, anyway, let's get that back in there as well too, just loosely. I'm going to need to oil everything there. So you see there's two studs here. Now what happened was, when I actually removed this whole housing, the those two studs actually came out with the nuts. So I have them there, it's not a problem. There's threads there and everything as well, so not really an issue. So yeah, next piece then is this lad here. Ta-da! Right, okay, so that's clean now. Right, you'll see here, by the way, that the that surface isn't painted. That's where the magneto sits. So you can't paint it because it needs the ground on that. The other thing as well too that we need to remember is, the eagle-eyed amongst you will notice that up here there's no access to get the nut or to get the bolt in to put the magneto on. So what we need to do is we need to put that on now, because if we don't, we'll end up having to take it off again later. So let's do that. New bolts. So let's put that there. Take this off for a second. New gasket. Hopefully this one fits a little bit better than the other one did. There it is there. It wasn't exactly an expensive set of gaskets, but still, I like things to fit, you know. It irritates me when they don't. So anyway, there's a bit of copper grease. There's the other two, the studs, as I said, that still have the nuts on them. So leave them there as well too. They're down below you. So what we need to do now is we need to, oh yes, mustn't forget the castellated nut as well too. That is another piece that needs to go on. Castellated nut and a split pin, which I don't have. I'll lock wire it. You'll see how that looks now in a minute. Alright, so that nut is lock wired there now. It's a bit of a bodge, but it's not the right way, but it's a good way. So you'll see there, for example, that nut can't come loose now because the wire will stop it from threading. To be honest with you, for this engine, it's absolutely fine. You know, I mean, castellated nut is obviously supposed to get a split pin, and if I had a split pin that would fit it, I would put it in, but I don't, so that's what's happening. Anyway, right, next. Gasket back on, so dropping it on the bench, there we go. So that's that. We put our bolt into place, which goes up here like that. And then we put, just hold the bolt, drop this on like that. Okay, right, happy days. So now you see that the just trying to readjust you there. Now you'll see that the bolt is sticking out where the magneto will go, which is great. That's what we're looking for. And we'll thread two of these lads in here, and we'll button them up now in a second. So And if you listen very carefully, you'll hear my wrist click when I get to the desired torque. Okay, we're getting there now, folks. We are getting there. Let's take that out now. That's a little oiling port. Pop that out. We get our oil can, and I'm going to give it a good few squirts of oil in there. So that gets to the top of everything. So that's that. Now, last but not least, we'll put our governor back on. Wipe off some of the copper grease. It's good stuff, but it stains something fierce. So it's kind of an undesired side effect of it, let's say. So that's the top. I'm sure you guys can see what's going on. So around there. So what we're looking for is there's a detent in the side. Oh, lovely. That fits beautifully. Alright, and we have a bolt that goes in there. So, again, nicely blasted up by my good self. Glass blasting is actually what the method is that I use. Yeah, works nicely. That's the piece we're going to use, not the other one. Or is it? Now I'm second guessing myself. No, we're alright, we're alright. Yeah, there we go. So that's threading in nicely there. Nip with a spanner. The job is a good one. Usual spanner here. I'm going to guess 9/16. Not. Next size up from 9/16, 5/8. Right. You don't need to stitch these things in fairness, you know what I mean? It's tight enough is good enough. In this case. Okay, so there we go. Right. So that's our governor mechanism, complete with camshaft. There's our two cam followers. So if we watch them, and this piece here is driven off the end of the crank. So that's doing engine speed. So you 2-to-1 reduction. So 2 turns here is 1 turn here, so the engine's doing 700 RPM, that's doing 350 RPM. Camshaft is on the back of this. There's your rockers, okay? The crank is literally, the crank spigot is directly attached to the back of the camshaft. So when you start the engine, your 1 turn of the crank is giving the crankshaft 2 turns. So you're getting a bit of extra speed out of it that way. So we're pretty good there. So the only other thing we need to do now is we just need to oil everything up and make sure we're kind of everything is nicely lubricated. I know some of the oil will spill out because obviously the engine is not fully assembled. You know, I mean, we're kind of missing a large part. Just on the subject of that, the crank case is now clean. And pretty much ready. The only thing left to do is to put the drill out the broken water drain tap, and that will be done. hopefully tomorrow. So just a couple of squirts of oil do no harm here, you know. A well-oiled machine. So I'm going to leave there, folks. I'm just disappointed I didn't have any success in removing the gib key, but I will see how we fare out cleaning everything up as an assembly. It's not how I like to operate, but you know, needs must and all that, you know. So don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll report back with my with the next installment, which is the crankcase and the assembly of that. We'll need to rehone the cylinder as well too, because it's got a little bit dirty during the cleaning process. So I will detail all that again anyway, and you'll see how that all comes together. And then when we have the crankcase together, this can be bolted on, and yeah, the head will be basically ready to go on. I need to get a few parts as well too, so stay tuned, and I'll catch you again soon. Thanks for watching. Well, folks, I was going to leave it there, but things have been going massively successful on this project. So yeah, I managed to get the gib key out, so happy days. Check it out. I managed to blast up and clean the crankshaft with the bearings, took the bearings out, gave them a good wash, and re-oiled them, and yeah, they're working fantastically well now, so really happy with that. Brilliant end result. Crankcase is ready for paint now as well too. I know I was having a problem with getting that brass tap out, so managed to drill that and re-tap it. So yeah, that's good to go there as well too. So yeah, I'm going to paint up the front of the bearing housing, the surface here, and the flywheel is getting a few thou taken off the outside. I think it's up to about 80 thou taken off the outside because the run out was atrocious on it, and yeah, it should help to bring everything back into balance as well too. I mean, it's a rough casting, you know. I mean, the engine doesn't turn that fast, but it's nice to get these things right. But yeah, so that's kind of the state of play now. So we should get the flywheel back next week. One of the lads in the machine shop is doing that for me, so it's coming together nicely. I mean, he had a lot of it done there today actually, but there's a bit of a hammer rash on it. Some of it is to do with me now trying to get the gib key out of my frustration. But I'll put up a few pictures here. You can have a look there, and that's you'll see that wedge tool is what I used to put in the to remove the gib key. So I was able to put it in behind it and give it a good few clumps with a hammer, and it came out then. So yeah, I was delighted with that. One of the guys in work actually, he's a fitter and has worked in industry where they use centralized shaft pulleys in factories and that as well too, which used gib keys. And he had a few tools and a few tricks up his sleeve. So yeah, it's great having that experience at my disposal now, to be honest with you. I mean, I've never removed them before, but I can safely say I have now anyway. So, I mean, he told me how to do it, but I did it. So yeah, things are looking good now. Now I've ordered a whole load of new bits from stationaryengineparts.com, so they will be arriving in the next couple of days, hopefully. New head gasket, head washers, a little oiler for the governor mechanism. You may have seen where the port for the oiler was. I pointed that out a little earlier in this video. And yeah, new points, because I bought the wrong ones the last time, so I have the right ones on the way this time, hopefully, unless there's another type. And yeah, so I'll show you what I get when it all arrives, and we'll go from there. So anyway, I think we will leave it here. You don't need to see me painting. The next step is going to be reassembling the crankcase. So I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a nice big kind of step forward in the project, and I'll do that in a separate video. So thanks again for watching, and once again, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you very much.